Hey, it's the Profit Answer Man, Rocky Lalvani. If you're new to the podcast, check out my interview with Mike Michalowicz. It's episode number 2. If you want to hear about each chapter in the Profit First book, go back and listen to episodes 3 through 13. Episode 1 is the why and how. On the Profit Answer Man, we learn money mastery without all the complicated accounting mumbo-jumbo using a simple system. Your accountant is busy documenting your transactions and creating a rearview mirror of what happened. My guess is you don't even look at the reports they sent you. If you're like most business owners, you struggle with this, and it's not your fault. We aren't taught money in school, and accountants aren't taught how to be profitable. The Profit First system created by Mike Michalowicz works, and he certified me to help you implement the system in your business. Remember, the new equation is sales minus profit equals expenses. Let's face it, without cash flow, you can't pay your employees, buy needed materials, or pay your mortgage and support your family. I help you to do that and more, so you can focus on the parts of the business you love and receive the rewards for your labor and investment into your business. The stronger you are as a business owner, the more jobs you create, the better we are as a country. Small business owners are the backbone of America, and for that, you deserve to be well rewarded. Just remember, more revenue does not equal more profit. That's why we focus on the bottom line. This episode of the Profit Answer Man podcast is brought to you by SMBpodcastnetwork.com. The network is a collection of podcasts and shows from around the internet which focus on bringing you interviews with amazing guests who share actionable advice, ideas, and information for small and medium-sized business owners and entrepreneurs. Visit www.smbpodcastnetwork.com to find more great shows and easily subscribe to be notified of new episodes. It's a great way to discover quality content. If you've discovered us via the network, then I hope you enjoy today's show and will consider subscribing directly so you never miss our episodes. Today, we bring you another profit coach with a different book and system to help you be more profitable. Susie Carter, the profit coach, built and sold 2 powerhouse businesses for more than $10 million each. She's coached 100,000 entrepreneurs to increase their revenues by 3,000% and has become an international best-selling author and host of the fast-rising podcast, Power Your Profit. Let's meet Susie. Welcome to the Profit Answer Man, Susie Carter. It's great to have you join us today.
Well, thank you, Rocky, for having me. It's my brother from another mother speaking the same language, which I love, love, love. That gets me so excited when you find those kindred spirits. So thank you for being who you are in the industry and helping us understand this thing.
You are most welcome. Yeah, I'm surprised at how many people don't actually talk about bottom line profit.
Well, how many people just don't talk about money, right? There's still this taboo. And as business owners, if you're not talking about the money, you're flying blind, and you can't fly blind. And so 80% of small businesses aren't profitable, right? And then the 80% that aren't profitable aren't paying themselves a proper paycheck. So we got to start talking about this, make it the norm, right? There's nothing taboo about it. It's we all have to talk about, we all have to have it and implement it in our business.
That we do. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Yeah, so this is my 10th business. I'm a serial entrepreneur, love to build them, sell them. And this business I launched 3 years ago, right before the pandemic. And I was running a multi-million-dollar company. I had sold my previous business to Ritger's Publishing for about $10 million and was at a place where I didn't have to work. I didn't have to, I was set. And then the market crashed. I don't know if you remember 2007. Most of us do. And when the market crashed, I crashed. I was heavily invested in real estate. So we lost about 10 million in assets between the real estate holdings, our stock portfolio, about 90% of our wealth, if what felt like overnight, was stripped from us. And so now my retirement came into, what do I do? And I had a non-compete with the industry I was in, so I couldn't go back into that industry. And I just felt like a fraud, Rocky. I felt like, well, who's going to listen to me? I just lost all my money. And I remember being on the floor crying, and not like a pity party, but just like, what do I do now? Like, how do you recover from that? It took me 20 years to build that and accumulate that. And, sometimes when you have those hardships or breakdowns, and a lot of people are experiencing that now in business and the economy, 66% of small businesses closed their doors this last 2 years. And so when you're down, you have to really look at where's the opportunity. And I heard a voice in my head, I'll call it God, you can call it whatever you choose. And the voice said, first of all, get up. This will be your biggest victory and your biggest lesson. Go tell the people. And I started bawling. I'm like, I can't, I was ashamed. I can't tell people. And the funny thing is, when you're just authentic and share, here's what happened. People, not speaking from your mountaintop, but just speaking from where you are. My clients had compassion. My students had compassion. I had two clients. I had Lisa Nichols, who was one of the top speakers in The Secret, and John Asseroff. And I said, I'm going to do for them what I've done for myself. And so I built Lisa's company from 80,000 to 10 million. I did a turnaround situation in John's company. And so it taught me that it didn't take me 20 years to rebuild, because now I knew what I was doing. In the first, 10 years, you don't know what you're doing. You're figuring it out. Right. So it was easier to accumulate. It just went back to do the strategies I did. The first thing I did was invest in real estate, even though I lost my hiney in it. I'd made millions in it before. And to go, oh, the system works. Right. I was just too heavily leveraged. But, I was young. I could risk. Not like I'm risking like that now. Right. It taught me that. Like, let's not be so aggressive. Right. In that strategy. So that taught me that, to go, what do I need so that I can breathe and feel comfortable if that ever happens again, right? You have that kind of economic crash again. And none of us knew the shenanigans that was going on behind the scenes, right? With what was happening on Wall Street, what was happening in the political world, and what was happening with the government, and so you've got to look for those things inside of your business. What the beauty is, my business has always given me the cash flow to create multiple income streams, right? Investing in other businesses, investing in real estate, right? Paying myself an amazing compensation package. So business is an amazing vehicle when you get the formula right.
And I think that's a big key. The job of the business is to generate the cash flow in excess, and then you take it and you invest it in other multiple streams, not just in your company, because, companies come and go, life comes and goes. But when you build the multiple streams, and again, we try not to over leverage them, you can ride out pretty much any storm and what happens in the world. And you have the flexibility to do that. So I think that's a phenomenal formula. I very much love it.
Yeah, so I'm very diversified now, right? And really analyzing my risk tolerance. Back in the day when I was younger, I had a higher risk tolerance because I was younger and had more working years, where now I'm a little more seasoned. I don't know about you, Rocky, but I'm a little more seasoned. And so I don't want to do what I did for 20 years. I want to really have a lifestyle business that provides me wealth and provides me a lifestyle that a job can't. I've been doing this for 30 years, so it's not my first rodeo now.
I think we're in the same age of seasoning and the same outlook with regards to that. So let's talk a little bit about your book, Power Your Profit. One of the things that you mentioned in there was building your business with the mindset of selling it. And I don't think most people build their business with that way. They build it because they want it. But why should we do it with the mindset of selling it?
Well, first of all, you have to look at the goal of the business is to provide you freedom. If you have to be in your business every single day, that's not freedom. If you can't take vacation without checking in or being on a call, or, I got a call, I got to go, up in the room, that's not freedom. If it's not providing you the cash flow, that's not freedom. And so ideally, you want to build a business to wean yourself out of the business so that you're not in the day-to-day operations. Goal number one. Michael Gerber said it eloquently in the 90s. You want to build it so that someone else can come in and take over. And so even this brand from day one, systematizing it. So if something happened to me, God forbid, one of my students, my team members could come in and teach my classes, take over. The marketing team can keep running campaigns, or there's an asset there to sell. To go, okay, she's out of the business, let's sell this asset. So it's important that you build it as if you were going to franchise it and think of it from day one versus when somebody approaches you to sell it. So the last company I built, all right, I built it as a single mom raising two little girls and built it with that mindset. And so we built it so that somebody could purchase it. Now we thought it would be a manufacturer, distributor. It was in the beauty industry, and we were teaching business, the same content for salons and spas. And it was actually a publisher that came in and bought us. So because we were ready to sell, meaning we had the assets, we ran our books that way, we did our due diligence, and anything they asked for, we either, this is old school, wheeled in a filing cabinet, like a big filing cabinet to show them the systems. We did have stuff digital, but everything was documented. We had checklists for everything. We had SOPs for everything, which are the standard operating procedures, so that it could run without us inside of the organization. Right. So our job descriptions, the bonus programs, the finances, everything was set up that way. So it was an easy yes. The only reason we were able to sell our business for $10 million, profit is important because they're going to pay on multiples on your profit. Some people will pay on the top line. Most people pay on the bottom line. Right. And so if I look at, we got 5 times our multiple in our profit model because there was profit there to have. So it's all these little things that we didn't have to now try to hurry up and systematize something that had been in existence for 10 years, right? That would have been such arduous work. So if you're doing it as you grow, and in the book, I give you a checklist of what are the systems? Because what I know about entrepreneurs is we're Xerox machines. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. So each chapter, I give you a checklist, right? So that you know what you're doing. You do an assessment to see where you're at and see where the holes are. And you can, start building your systems from that standpoint.
And I find a lot of small business owners don't put the time and effort into building standard operating procedures, don't know where to start, and then just say, I'm too busy to do this.
Right. Well, it sounds complicated when you think of it, standard operating procedure. It sounds so official. We'll start with checklists, right? What do you do to set yourself up for a sales call? What do you do to set up for this podcast? What do you do when you hire someone? I started just with checklists for myself to organize myself. Naturally, I'm a creative. This process of managing money, learning profit, I started because I felt like a ding dong in every meeting. It's not a natural skill set. I had to learn how to do this. And then I created spreadsheets to help me understand it. And then I would share my spreadsheet with a colleague or a student. And they're like, can I have that? I'm not a CPA. It just helps my creative mind to process it so I can coach my team or I can coach myself so I can hit the revenue goal. Because if you're in a meeting and your team says we got to do $1 million, that can be intimidating. Okay, well, you got to do 100 grand this month. Okay, well, that can be intimidating. But if you say you got to sell 10 things this month, these are the 10 things you're going to sell. Oh, I can do that, right? So if you look at, I've got to sell 3.33 each week in order to hit the revenue goal, right? And that's with a team. That was so much easier for me than someone saying, sell 100 grand. I just got intimidated, right? Don't come home until you sell 100 grand. Back that's how you work as an entrepreneur. Don't get off that plane unless you got some money in your pocket, baby. So say, but sell 10 things. I can sell 10 things all day long. That's so much easier.
It's funny that you talk about the checklist because what I have found is when I need to do something and I have a checklist, I don't have to think anymore.
Yeah.
I can just crank through it and get it done. And so it actually makes it easier.
Yes.
And the more and more I can automate, like the better and better it gets. So we use a pretty powerful spreadsheet system. I think the first time that I'd go in and start working with it, it'd take half an hour to do all of this work, probably an hour plus. We've got it down now where an automated spreadsheet takes like under a minute.
Right. Right. Now you went through that learning curve. And so now you know.
But we also built systems and processes into the spreadsheet to be able to pull all the data so that we didn't have to go do it. And it took a long time to build that, but over time, it's so helpful, and that's true in throughout the entire process of the business. Plus, if you lose an employee and somebody else comes in, it's real easy for them to follow a checklist. Okay, this is what I need to do, and they now aren't spending months trying to figure out how to do the job. They're just going down the checklist, and if they don't know how to do a step, they can always ask or figure it out, and it's a bit easier. And then they should always update the checklist.
Yes. Well, and with so much technology available now with Loom or Zoom, or you can create videos like way back in the day, because Rocky and I are seasoned, right? You would literally cassette tapes, right? We had cassette tapes, right? You're trying to do videos to teach people in their little tiny, cassettes to do the video. But now with technology, let me give you this step by step. And every person I hire, they get the checklist, they get the systems that are already in place. And your job, if you come work for me, Rocky, how do you make it better? How do you make it easier for the next person that comes? You don't get promoted unless you make it better. That's part of your job, part of your role is creating those SOPs, right? And I'm not saying they have to be perfect. I just want a roadmap, right? For the next person that makes my training job easier, it makes their training job easier, So I think Charles Givens wrote the book Wealth Without Risk. And he said, when you start any project, you'll put 10 units of energy in to get 1 unit of result. Once you get that momentum going, you put 1 unit of energy in to get 10 units of results. And that's what you're talking about with the spreadsheet. In the beginning, you guys put 10 units of energy in and then do it again, right? You're like, you couldn't squeak it out. Now you put 1 unit of energy in, that's that 1 minute because it aggregates all the data. And you're like, I feel so smart. And I love spreadsheets because I feel so smart, right? People are like, well, I don't even create the spreadsheets. I just tell my operations person, this is what I want it to say. So you don't have to be a whiz at Excel. Find talented people and find their genius and let them do their genius, right? Pay them well, compensate them well, but everybody's responsible for the bottom line, top line and bottom line. We were talking about that in the green room. Like responsible, it doesn't matter. One of my first businesses was a salon and spa. We were the top 1% in the nation and the top 10% in the world. We did $1 million in a salon and spa. And just to give you an idea, there's only 1% of the industry hit the $1 million. The average salon or spa has to have 30 technicians to hit $1 million. We had 5. And in that $1 million salon and spa, Rocky, I didn't know this conversation. We were negative $70,000 for the year. And I remember going, I am working way too hard. I could go work at McDonald's and make more money. I am losing money. This makes no sense to me, right? Because I wasn't taught anything about creating profit. I wasn't taught about how to manage the money. I wasn't taught how to price your services. All that, we made it up. We pulled it out of our hiney, or I went, oh, how much is Rocky charging? How much is Susie charging? How much is Karen charging? I'm going to charge this. And that lost me 70 grand, those years, but still was an award-winning business. Right. We still 5 years in a row hit top 1% in the nation. And I was like, there's a formula broken. Where is the formula? And so I think my creative mind, like a puzzle to go, I don't want to lose money. And what it boiled down to, Rocky, is our pricing was $5 too cheap. Right. So every customer needed to spend $5 more. Well, now you're relying on people to upsell, which most of them didn't want to upsell. And so we fixed our pricing, $5 times 300 people times 12 months a year is 70 grand, right? So we looked at the formula and went, oh, so simple, but so complicated, right? If you're not willing to look at all the minutia inside of your business. Now we have us, right? You and myself. And I think it's important to look at all aspects and all experts to go, who do I resonate with? Who's speaking my language? Because each piece adds a valuable component to your business.
It does. And I always say businesses are systems. You have to find the right people to run the system and everything will go great. And there is an entire math to your business, from lead gen to the last number, which is profit, and taking money out of the business. It's all a math equation. And then each of those equations have levers. And the question is how do we change the levers? So in the salon business, it could be the average transaction, which is the lever that you worked on. We changed the average transaction size by increasing it $5. and that solved your loss problem. It could have been one more customer a day if you had capacity would have solved your problem. It could have been an upsell, right? And so there's multiple ways to play with the formulas. You have to figure out the one that works for you. So we kind of touched on this, but what I find is a lot of business owners are afraid to let go. Do you notice that they want to do it all?
Well, I think in the beginning, you have to do it all, right? You're the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. And then we as entrepreneurs are high ego. And so it's hard for a high ego person to say, I don't know, right? If you look at my story about losing everything, my ego was the thing in my way. It wasn't the physical act of losing. I didn't want to tell people. So the reality is, and you have to, right? You have to have a high ego. You have to have high self-esteem. And so it's taking, I've learned early on, let me just find the people who are really great at what I'm not great at. And the first person I always hire is an operations person. Because if I'm 15% of our financial success is our vocation, right? So that's how we are as trainers, coaches, consultants, delivering the work we do. The other 85% is sales, marketing, operations, finance. So if you're the front person, somebody has to do that other stuff because that's a big job. That 15% has to be amazing and it's a huge job. And then who can do that other stuff? Well, we're not really taught that, right? We're not taught. Where are we taught that? Well, I wasn't taught in school and you weren't taught in school. And if you go to business school, there's a lot of theory. And you and I both know theory doesn't necessarily pay the bills. Like, and when you're seasoned enough, like this is my 10th business, I can smell something and go, that's not going to work. Right. And I'll say impossibility. I'm not a naysayer, right? Show me the proof. I'll implement it. I'll play with it. Let me see, right? Just if it's going to produce the result. So I think it's being accountable to go, what am I really great at? And what's the highest income producing activity only you can do? That's your job. My highest income producing activity isn't working on a spreadsheet. My highest income producing activity isn't putting a drip campaign together, right? Poke a needle in my eye. If I had to, I could, but I don't want to do that, right? This is my highest income producing activity. Meet you, meet new students, meet new people, put myself out there, coach my clients, right? Generate leads for the organization. Those are the highest income producing activities for me. Josie can put the lead campaign together. Josie can look at the stats and the data and bring them to me. She brings them to me. Here's where we're at. Here's our click-through rate. Here's our open rate. Here's our close rate. Here's what you're doing. Here's what you're not doing. And so that all that data helps me see is the job I'm doing producing results. Most people don't look at that. They don't look at, did that.
That's the math we were talking about, right? What's the click-through rate? What's the conversion rate? What's the sale price? All of those numbers add up and they all have to be on spreadsheets. And you talked about this in the book. This is a common theme that's always talked about by people like us, which is you need to have a target, a budget, right, to shoot for. And you need to have the financial meeting every month at minimum to say, how are we doing compared to the scoreboard?
Right.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I'm 100% aligned, right? So we do what I say is, remember the combination locks we had in school? Or if you go to the gym, you got a combination lock that has 3 numbers, left, right. One tick off and that combination lock wouldn't open, right? And business is the same way. You can have one tick off in your marketing. Like you could spend money in marketing, but if you don't have the combination lock, the lock's not going to open. And so it's important to look at the formula that is going to give you the result for your business. We know statistically, coaching other coaches and entrepreneurs, it's really about 10 and 1 if you know how to sell. So 10 leads to 1 sale. If you're a really good salesperson, it's 5 leads to 1 sale. That's simple formula. And to go, oh, most people think they have a leads issue. Well, you probably just aren't having enough conversion calls. You might suck at sales. You may not know how to sell. And so is it a lead issue? Is it a quality lead issue? Is it you're not good at sales? You're not good at closing? You're great at coaching, but you don't know how to lead them down that path of giving the yes. So I think if you have a spreadsheet that has all that aggregated, you want to run, not walk, run, to Rocky's website so that you can get that spreadsheet because that's gold, right? And I think we've spent years putting together all these spreadsheets to help us get that same data, to really be able to analyze your business quickly and see what's working, what's not working.
And it's figuring it all out and then making little changes, not big changes, little changes that bring about the results that that you need to see. I guess I've got a good closing rate in that case, based
Yeah.
on your stats.
So you look at the little changes, that $5, but I ran that whole year not knowing that change. That $5 had me in the hole, right? Hiring a really great coach that can look at it differently than we do. Like I hire coaches all the time, right? I have 3 financial coaches, right? They're coaching me in different areas in my finances, right? I've got a business coach. I've got a personal development coach, AKA therapist, right? I've got a health coach. I've got a fitness coach. And so I might not use them all the time, but I'm plugging into them. My financial coaches, I'm meeting with them quarterly. My business manager, I'm meeting with them monthly, right? My personal therapist, that's pretty consistent, right? So I can be a great mom and a great partner and a great boss. And so you have to look at, you can do it the hard way and figure it out on your own. That takes you 10 years, right? When you work with someone like Rocky or myself, we shave 10 years off your learning curve, because we've already been through it and we've coached thousands of businesses to get the result you're looking for. And to me, Rocky, coaching is like, it is a relationship. You've got to have that trust relationship. It's got to feel like they get me and I get them. And I'm too old to push people uphill. Like, I don't want your money if you're not going to do the work. I'm over that, right? Because all money's not good money. I want someone
We're
that,
in the same boat.
right? Someone that's like, yes, Susie, I want to do this and I will do the work. Perfect. That's an ideal client for me, right? I got to love and adore you. You got to love and adore me to go, let's make this happen. Because it is, especially in this level, it's really intimate. You're talking about people's money. You're talking about their wealth. You're talking about their livelihood, their generational wealth. We change the trajectory of your life just by having these conversations, right? Every coach that's touched my life in this manner changed my life, right? I grew up poor, right? There was 9 kids in my family: Bobby, Ronnie, Stevie, Terry, Joni, Shelley, Susie, Kelly, Debbie. We grew up in 1,200 square feet, Rocky, 1 bathroom, 6 girls. I don't know how we did it. I think back, I'm like, how did we all go to the bedroom?
That is wild. So you know how to work with people, clearly, if you've got to work with that many family members. And that
Clearly.
is something that I think is always a struggle for business owners. You mentioned an assessment in your book, the Harrison assessment. I've never heard of this. Love for you to share why you use it and how it really helps you to put the right people in the right place.
Now, I've always used assessments, right? I've used DISC, I've used Myers-Briggs, I've used the profile, I've used anyone you can think of. I've signed up and used them because I love them, right? They tell you who you are from your perspective, right? You're taking some kind of assessment that says, this is who I am. The reason I love this one, I've been using it for over 20 years, is it is the DNA of managing somebody, which is always the hard part, right? How do you manage these crazy things called people? And so when I look at it, it shows me your cultural fit. Will you fit in our culture? Right? It shows me your behaviors. It shows me how to retain you. It shows me your life themes, like what's important to Rocky, so that if one of your life themes is your family, I have to make sure that I'm checking in with you and your family. And how's that going? If you have to go do something with your family, I'm not going to penalize you for that because that's your number one life theme, right? Work-life balance. Some people want high pay increases. So if somebody wants high pay increases, I have to make sure what are the indicators that I'm putting together so they can hit that goal, right? So it tells me that. The best part that I love about this, which no other assessment has allowed you to do or see, is under stress or duress, what's going to come up for you. So for some people, I worked with this client, under stress or duress, she got rigidly organized. Her natural way of being was unorganized. This woman was so unorganized, late to everything, piles of paper everywhere, couldn't tell you what she was doing, when she was doing, but in stress, she would get rigidly organized. So in meetings, all of a sudden, when she was stressed, do you have this report? 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 Like, I asked you before we came, what report would you like to see? I have my reports, but I don't have the reports you're asking for because you didn't ask for them. So then I'm feeling like a ding dong, right? Because I didn't have the information she wanted. Once we did the assessment, it was like, oh, okay, she's stressed out. So how can I support her in knowing what she needs ahead of time. So instead of getting mad at her because she's late all the time, that's her normal way of being. She's unorganized, right? She's like, I live in LA. Okay, you live in LA, so you should know traffic sucks all the time. It's not an anomaly. But that wasn't her personality. Under stress or duress, I get very dogmatic and dominating. Some people will say that bitchy, right? So if I'm rude or bitchy to you or come off really direct, as a coach or as a leader, oh, she's really stressed out, because my normal way of being is not that, right? I'm very communicative, a love bug, I acknowledge a lot. But if I'm really blunt, you're like, oh, okay, right? So it shows up in different ways for different people. And so it allows me to see. So Sam, who works for me, under stress or duress, she gets defensive. So if I catch her being defensive with me, instead of just getting mad that she's defensive, I can say, oh, this is either stressing her out or she's got a lot of stress. And so I can deal with it. It'll also allow me, having this conversation before we go into the meeting, I can say, Rocky, I notice when you get stressed out, you get very dogmatic, right? So let's just be aware of that. So going in, if you want to get really dogmatic with me, that maybe not be the most respectful thing, or vice versa. And so it just helps you manage people. It gives you this 45-page report on me, right, on the team member, and we all share it together. So I'm not going to just judge you. Here's yours. So I'm not going to show you mine. We show you mine. I show you yours, so that we can all, really support each other.
And that helps to get everyone working in the same boat, moving the same direction, and understanding why people are behaving the way they do. Because we all behave a certain way, and we're not always aware of our own behavior, and we're not always understanding of why someone else is behaving the way they are. We're like, why aren't they behaving the way I wanted them to?
Right. Well, my team used to say, she's scary, right? My team would go, she's scary. Well, what was scary was I would just hold you accountable. And so then, and I don't like confrontation. So that would have me be dogmatic or direct. And so I would say ahead of time, listen, when I get nervous or when I get uncomfortable, I get really direct. So it's not about you, it's about me. And so that allowed their pressure valve to go down and go, oh, okay, she's just nervous to have this conversation. Like, brings my humanity in as a manager versus, just the hammer. One of my coaches said, Susie, you use a hammer, you put pink fluffy sparkles on it, but it's still a hammer. You're hammering people. Okay.
And that's the power of coaching, right? Feedback, to be told the things we need to be told so that we can improve them, improve ourselves, which leads to a more profitable business.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about your podcast, Power Your Profits. Where can people find that, and what is it all about?
Oh my gosh. So this is the behind the scenes. I realized when I'm at retreats or at some of my high level masterminds, we have some of the most delicious conversations. Like, it's those fly on a wall conversations that if you could be on a fly on a wall and to hear what other business people are talking about. So I wanted to create something where I'm interviewing my badass friends about what's it like to build a 7 and 8 figure business. And so there's challenges, there's highs and there's low. And people think, oh, it must be so easy for you because you're doing millions of dollars. No, I'm just managing more zeros than you. That's the only difference, right? I got some more zeros. You still have people problems. You still have sales problems. You still have marketing problems, right? You still have bigger tax problems. And so the reality is business is business is business. And so how do you, one, sustain it? What's their secret weapon? What are they doing? What was their hardest learning lesson? What was their biggest failure? I think those are the times that I learn in business, when I hear, oh, if Rocky overcame that, I can overcome that. Like, if I can lose $10 million and still sit here and be happy, like, there's something to that, right? Versus I could still be having a pity party that I lost those assets, but no, I just got busy working on it, replacing it, and going, how did you do that? Where did that chutzpah come from? Where did that drive come from? What made you not go to bed for 2 years? Right? Children give you good motivation, right? I had children, I couldn't go to bed for 2 years. So you can find me at Power Your Profit Podcast. You can go to our website, susiecarter.com, CARD, as in dollar, dinero, or delicious, ER. And then you can click on our podcast button. We also have I have a business assessment on the cover page Rocky, this just gives you, because again, I love assessments, right? I'm an assessment queen. Do an assessment on your business. Where are your weakest links? And so instead of trying to focus on everything, where's your weakest links and what's going to give us that income producing activity that you need to be focused on to get the results you deserve?
And I love assessments and I love all kinds of freebies. So I encourage
Right.
people
All
to
time.
get them.
Well, we know you got to try before you buy, right? You got to really see, is this person right for me? Do your due diligence, right? I'm right for some people, not for other people. Rocky's right for some people, not for other people. I think that's what this collaboration helps us do, is to go, and when they're done with me, they want somebody else, right? So when you network at that level and just keep bringing people, amazing people, and that's what the podcast is about, right? Keep bringing amazing people to the table.
And that's very true. And I think that's one of the things I do. Like, a lot of people are so afraid of their competition or afraid of others. And I'm like, why? This is a very big pie. I may not be your cup of tea, but maybe Susie is. So
well, then you want another
check
flavor,
her out.
right? After Susie, right?
Yeah.
You want another flavor. After Rocky, you want another flavor to go, either to reiterate what you just learned, to take it to the next level, right? And I believe in working in collaboration versus competition. So much funner.
It is so much funner. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Rocky. I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you guys are doing in the world.
There are a lot of business coaches and people who help with profitability. At the end of the day, all of the programs have different flavors, but they're all built on the same principles. Your business is a math equation and a system. Think of McDonald's. All over the world, they deliver the same product because they have their systems down. Do you? They know the math of their business and how each lever affects the bottom line. Did you see how a $5 change took Susie from a loss to breaking even over the course of a year? Remember, just because you're winning awards and have 7 figures in revenue doesn't mean you're profitable. You got to look under the hood. And I've looked under many of them. It's not always what you think. Sometimes it's a bunch of squirrels running around like crazy on a wheel, trying to keep it all moving. Let's make it better. Check out Susie's work or let's chat, because it's time for you to be more profitable.
If you want a done-for-you service, you can hire us as your chief profitability officers. You have your own area of expertise, and maybe you want to spend more of your time doing what you love. We only work with a handful of clients, so they all get our full attention. We work with business owners who have or are growing to $500,000 to $5 million in revenue. You can use the scheduling link in the show notes to get on our calendar for a good fit conversation to see if we're the right people to support you and how we can help you.
Hey, it's Rocky. Don't forget to check out my other podcast, Richer Soul, where we talk about life beyond money and how to live that ultimate life and become a better leader in your company. As we close out, let's repeat the mantra. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. Have an abundant and profitable week.